So Summer League went in, wasn't very riveted by this team, wasn't a lot of buzz around it. Like training camp just kind of came and went because it didn't seem like anything substantial would happen with this group, especially Jordan Walsh, and that's who we obviously have to focus on here. It looked like, we talked about him on draft night. I was watching him, for a couple weeks going into the draft as a fringe guy, a second rounder. Another guy like J.D. Davison, who was big time coming out of high school, really struggled, really had to project to in a different situation, playing a different style to think that he was going to succeed quickly in the NBA. And he was great, I thought. And again, it's Summer League, the competition, all the rest. You always put those asterisks on it.
Great relative to expectations because he supposedly doesn't have
Couldn't do anything on offense. Yeah,
doesn't have a mature offensive game, but in the Summer League, he was getting his three-pointer off. The stroke looked pretty good. He was able to get to the basket on a couple of occasions. Defensively, though, man, he got caught flat-footed several times. He didn't look great on defense at all. He was all over the place.
So the defense, wasn't as advertised out there, but weird system. They didn't really have centers. They were running a zone a lot, by the way, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if we're going to see that during the year, but they played a ton of zone out there, him at the top. But he got disruptive at times. Against the Lakers, they had a 5-point lead late. He deflected 2 balls, once in the backcourt, once in the half-court to maintain that. Then he made a great cut to the basket to give them a 7-point lead. 40% from 3. I said in our videos, Sean, if he does that, and of course it's not necessarily going to translate, but if he does that, he's playing this year. The guy's shooting 40% from 3.
If he hits 40% from 3, Bobby,
he's going to play. But
yeah, no kidding. But what?
If he even
taking
hits
0.3 shots a game.
Yeah, if
he came out in the first 2 and took I think 6 a game, 8 a game.
Look, I mean,
Summer League.
Yeah, if he's not an abysmal shooter, he can find his way on the court. Because if he's going to get minutes, when the ball rotates over to him, he has to be able to do something with it. You can't be a 0 on offense. So for sure, if he can play, but that's provided he can play defense at the NBA level. He looked not great on defense, so he's got to button that up first. Somebody who can play NBA level defense just has to shoot okay to find his way on the court. I mean, Semi Ojeleye freaking played, and he wasn't an outstanding defender either. I mean, he's about as bad as a player as who could play significant minutes on a decent team, and he did. So if Semi is the bar, can Jordan Walsh get there? Sure. And if he does get there, that's actually a success for a second-round pick. If he's a little better than that, that's even better. But, if you have a guy who can come in and actually defend wings and knock down a couple of threes and he's an okay 3-and-D guy, yeah, that's a massive home run with pick 38. But I don't know. You think,
Listen, I'm not
you think there's a
betting.
path to minutes for him this year?
I do. I think, there's a need at that position this year where if he plays great, I don't think he's going to be stashed in Maine all year. I don't think he's J.D. Davison. And, the draft pick reflects that. He went in the 30s, not the 40s and 50s here. Yeah, this is a guy who probably should have been a first-round pick given the year he had last year. He wasn't. So, listen, he's 19. He needs to mature physically and within the NBA scheme. So I'm not expecting him to be a major part of this team this year, but the reason they drafted him, John, is he shot really well in the workouts. That translated to Summer League. Now let's see if it translates to preseason and the regular season, because that's the name of the game, especially for this team. If he can get threes up, be confident with it, and hit them, that's a great sign. And so this is all I'm saying is that given what the expectations were coming into Summer League, I think he overall exceeded them well and looked pretty confident out there doing it.
I think he's going to find some playing time, but I'm not going to get super hyped up about it. Second round pick guy to find a bunch of minutes that early on. Let's put it this way, Bobby. If you're contending for an NBA championship and your second round pick is getting significant minutes, something's wrong. Something's wrong with your roster construction. So it would be nice if he could contribute end of the rotation, get his feet wet a little bit. I do think he'll have a bigger role than J.D. Davidson because I do think he can play. I think he's
Davidson was really bad out there, by the way.
Yeah.
So Davidson's my next question.
It's a tough picture floating around about Davidson. You guys saw that one?
Yeah.
Let that one slide.
Who was the first pick from the Nets trade?
Was it James Young?
Yes.
Oh boy.
I can't remember.
Everybody
if it was him
drink.
or not.
It was, yeah, because
No. I can't remember if it's him or I'm thinking of, but there was one Celtics player who, like, basically, like, in their second or third year in the league, showed up to summer league and, like, looked worse than they did before, and that was basically it.
Him. Yeah.
Whether it was Young or it might be someone else I'm thinking of, but Davison,
I can't imagine they played summer league.
Davison looked worse than he did last year, and in summer league that's bad. And you should be able to. A year two guys should really be dominating at this level. They really should, because they should just be able to get what they want a little bit more frequently. You've played the speed of the NBA game, or at least you've been around it, and it's different, so it's not a shock to you. Like, Davison looked brutal. Like, I wonder if, like, we never see him again.
I already don't think there was a lot of momentum for him. And again, I don't
Yam
understand.
Madar?
Yam's gone. Yam and Joe Sway are somewhere together right now.
I still like Juhan there in France, but
oh god,
I bet you do.
No, Davison. Goodman never loved him, which again, I really put a lot of stock in what Goodman.
Never loved who?
Davison.
Jaylen Brown.
No, JD Davison.
Oh yeah.
So. So, yeah, I mean, he just came out in the first game, was throwing some wild turnovers around. He had a 10-11 turnover game at one point down there, and that was a little bit of an issue for him up in Maine last year. But I kept stressing this with people because people kept hyping him up as if he was going to have a role this year. He didn't play a minute last year. A minute! For a real minute for last year's team. And they had some nights where, you know, guards were off.
Oh, he played some scrub time.
Yeah, but he never played a real minute for this team last year. And so
he didn't play Cornette minutes.
Cornette was out there.
Those are real minutes.
Those are real minutes.
Those are real minutes.
So I don't have great faith in his future here, especially with Banton in here. Banton looked okay.
What about Scrub?
Scrub looked awesome, and I said after a certain point, like,
tough name.
Brad's never gonna let another undrafted free agent go, anymore.
Right.
He's just gonna sign them all. Like he's not gonna have another Spruce.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's been in the league for a couple of years now, so he's not a great two-way candidate. In fact, I think this was Scrub's last year they could even be on a two-way.
Yeah.
I heard out in Vegas that he wasn't looking to be on a two-way, so I don't think there's a ton of upside here. But he came out and shot 50% from the field and 50% from three. So if a guy does that, sign him up. You have 3 two-way spots. You're not really losing a ton by signing him up. I like that.
Oh, Scrub did get drafted. He was. I thought he was an undrafted guy. He was a late second guy.
He played with the Clippers and then.
He was a late second. I thought he was an undrafted guy. Anyway.
What about Banton?
Banton didn't look amazing to me. Again, turnovers. He's huge, so he rebounded well. The shot's not great. We knew that coming in. I don't think he shot well from 3 out there. So there's going to be some heat on Pritchard. To do a little something here, but I don't think Banton's a guy who's going to play Pritchard out of his role, it looks like.
The chat loves
still young. I know, again, like, he came out and shot lights out down there. So if a guy does that, great, sign him up. But I don't think he's going to be a real impact guy on the team this year, especially at that position. So we'll see. He might just be part of the dynamic and development up there in Maine and, help in that sense.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed.
Garden Report is brought to you by AG1. Go to drinkag1.com/garden for 5 free travel packs as well as a year's supply of vitamin D. That's drinkag1.com/garden.